This week on Great British Menu, 3 of the Northeast's most innovative chefs. Returning contender Colin McGurran.
Oh, you've got to be brave in these situations.
Ambitious newcomer Paul Welburn.
I'm adding a bit of theatre to it.
And fellow first-timer Michelin-starred Francis Atkins.
Do you think that's going to keep you in the lead?
Are battling it out for the honour of cooking at a banquet commemorating 70 years since D-Day at the majestic St Paul's Cathedral. Yesterday's fish course saw Colin triumph once again.
I'm going to give you 8.
With Francis and Paul still struggling to hit the top marks.
Couldn't believe it. So frustrated at myself.
Today it's the main course and Colin's banking on a family connection to maintain his lead.
I'm feeling the pressure now. You know, this has got to be the best pie that Phil's ever eaten.
But with Paul and Francis out to catch him,
So I'm determined to do the memory of my father proud.
who will emerge victorious?
I'm going to give you a score 10.
This year, the chefs are paying tribute to our World War II veterans who fought for our freedom on the beaches of Normandy 70 years ago. They've carried out extensive research and been on emotional journeys with their own families.
He was operating in the North Atlantic convoy, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Which probably at that time was one of the most dangerous places to be.
It certainly was, yes.
To produce patriotic dishes which encompass the spirit of wartime Britain. Judging them all week is 2 Michelin-starred former champion Phil Howard.
Your main course is actually where you've got to get fed. It's a point where you want to get stuck into something that's lovely. But obviously, there's a brief attached, and so it's got to tick that box.
This course means a lot to me. It's representing my granddad. I want to do the dish proud as well as him. If I get another 8, I'll be chuffed.
Well, my scores are climbing. If I have a good one today, I could be a serious threat to you.
So I've only got a 1-point lead over you now, Francis. Competition's heating up now. Bit of pressure on me.
Pressure on us all.
First up and in the lead is returning champion Colin. He's so far impressed with strong stories as well as technical cookery and is hoping that today a dish inspired by his grandfather who served on D-Day will keep him in the top spot.
It's my granddad that's inspired this course. It's all about what he used to make for me, and I just want to perfect it and take it to a different level and do him proud. Good morning.
Morning, Colin. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Good to see you.
Good.
In the lead at the start of day 3.
It gives you a bit more confidence to perfect everything you need to do, and one less thing to worry about is the chasing. So it's just got to keep in front, really.
So tell me about your main course.
OK, the title is Grandad's Posh Pie.
Okay.
You know, he was on the ship on D-Day, and he was great at making pies. And this is my homage to him, really. It's going to be a beef cheek pativia, sliced and layered, and I'm going to layer them with carrots and white cabbage inside the pativia. That's going to be resting on this kind of herb polenta.
Grandad used to use polenta with his pies?
No.
No?
I might have to upgrade it a little bit. And that's going to be garnished with, I've got a wonderful piece of fillet here, fillet of beef. So I'm just going to do a nice cut to go with the pie as well.
Pie needs the fillet of beef?
It might look like a lot of protein, but actually in the pativia you've got quite a lot of vegetables in there as well. So your fillet of beef will act and complement the pie as well.
Yeah. For the showstopper main course, a pie is it's a brave call. Good luck. Grandad's posh pie. There's no props, and I think he is aiming at taking it through to the banquet based on spectacular culinary skill and great delivery. So it's quite a big ask, I think.
Next up in second place is determined newcomer Paul. Yesterday he failed to hit the brief and forgot to plate an element of his fish course, leaving him trailing by 3 points.
Yeah, I've had a few negative bits and pieces on my courses. The mistake yesterday cost me, but you know, I'm confident this dish is amazing, and I want to get to St Paul Cathedral. I want to get to the banquet. I want to see one of my dishes, and hopefully it's the main course.
There's a proper box of food, huh?
Morning,
No,
sir.
we're talking. That's man's food, if ever I saw it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me about the inspiration for the dish, Paul.
It's called Blackout Beef. So inspiration for the dish is the Blitz, the people affected away from the actual fighting.
Okay, talk me through all your ingredients here.
Starting off, obviously, with a beautiful piece of Galloway beef rib.
So what are you going to do with that?
This is going to be broken down into two elements. Obviously, the ribeye I'm going to slow cook, and then I'm going to burn it so it's completely black on the outside, so with some sugar, and then leave it in the middle nice and pink. Top of it, the rib cap. I'm going to braise that in Yorkshire Blackout beer. It's also going to have other components as well. So I'm using the bone marrow. This is going to be smoked. So through the blackout sort of period, you'd have that sort of smoky smells of smoke coming through.
Yeah. Tell us what you're doing with the heart.
The heart, I'm going to obviously chin at the back nicely. I'm going to brine that to get some sort of seasoning into it. And then literally last second, it's going to be flash fried. It's going to be served, and that's nicely rare. The heart of Britain. For me, this dish it encapsulates the whole brief. For me, it's the one I would love to see go into the banquet.
So this is your trump card, so to speak.
I think it is.
Paul's blackout beef. I love the idea behind it. The rib with the blackout beer, the heart, the bone marrow. I sense he's got something up his sleeve. It just sounds like a great dish.
Finally, in last place is Michelin-starred Frances, with her menu inspired by her father's first-hand experience of D-Day. After a disappointing starter, her fish course scored a healthy 7, and today she's determined to go one better.
To get ahead of Paul, all I can do now is to make sure my dish is accurate, looks good and tastes well.
How are we?
Very well, thank you. And
Good.
yourself?
Ready to go?
Of course.
Fantastic. Tell me about the dish.
This is a dish which is, again, a part of my father's story.
Yeah.
And after the beaches, he escaped to a monastery and he goes and seeks sanctuary, which is the name of the dish, and was cooked a lovely meal.
It is an extraordinary story, and I'm sure you're going to do justice with it with this box of ingredients. Are you aware of what they actually ate, or is this...
Yes, this is why I've chosen duck.
And tell me what you're going to do with the duck.
The duck, well, there is an old way of using duck in Normandy where they press it and they eat everything.
OK. Other little bits and pieces over here I can see?
Yes, gooseberries, which have been pickled.
Yeah. Where are they going to appear on the plate?
They're chopped up
OK.
to give a little sweetness to the duck leg.
And here?
Bilberries.
Yeah. With all the fat from the duck, are you going to do anything particular with that?
The fat from the duck is going to be used as a candle because they ate this in flickering candlelight.
It sounds like you've got your work cut out. All sorts of flavours. There's plenty of
It
scope.
should be interesting and exciting, and
It should-
I like lots of
it is.
different flavours in my food.
I am both interested and excited by this
Good.
dish. Frances, seeking sanctuary. I love the story behind it, but it's quite a big ask to have maple syrup, gooseberries, whiskey. She's also doing this candle with the duck fat. Frances has got a lot on her plate, so I really hope she can pull this one out of the bag.
Having won the first two courses with both complex cookery and clever use of props, Paul and Frances are surprised at Colin's change of tack.
So, Colin, you've said it's just a white plate, no dramatic props.
It's a humble plate of food, cooked with a great deal of skill. Hopefully that should be enough.
I'm going a different tactic today. I'm going to bring a few props to the party finally. Hopefully that'll get me a few more points. You know, I need them.
Not as much as I do. I'm very focused. I've designed all my dishes around my story, so I can't be worried about it. I can admire other people's work, but not be worried or envious.
3 points behind Colin, Paul is determined to impress veteran Phil by telling a story on a plate.
I'm going for a different approach. I'm going for the back home, away from the battlefield, so obviously the blackout, the blitz.
Yeah.
That sort of mood there was then.
So good old northern pear, I hope.
He's preparing a rib of beef, removing the bones to make an intense stock and using the eye for the main element of his dish. But he's keeping his presentation a mystery until he's ready to serve.
Sticking with the same cooking, plating, but I'm adding a bit of theatre to it.
Paul's been telling us that he has a lot of theatre going on, so it'll be fun to see what he does, won't it?
Also using beef is current leader Colin, who's cooking his fillet in a water bath to serve on the side of his pithivier, a French pie with a flat pastry bottom and decorative dome top. It's a homage to his grandfather, a stoker on a fuel supply ship on D-Day.
He was actually a very good cook, and he used to love nothing more than a pie. So I'm taking What he would do for me as a kid is pie, and I'm taking it to a different level.
So it's really, Colin, it's a bit like my toasted sandwich that never happened.
Well, yeah, I hope not. I think I'd like
I think you do hope not.
It's a pie with a piece of meat on the side and with no props. Is it really going to hit the brief? Is it going to really tell a story to people if they didn't know who his grandfather was?
Hello. So, building the pativia now.
Yeah, okay, so talk me through it.
We're going to have layers of beef, cabbage, carrots, spinach, beef, onions.
Okay, and tell me about the jelly.
The jelly is from the cooking of the beef. Eventually, it's just going to be, it'll melt down and glaze the insides.
What he's making is a bit of a dinky little thing, you know. It's looking a little bit neurotic and self-obsessed. If you're going to do a pie, it's got to be a pie with a capital P. And I'm not quite sure that's what he's doing.
Like Colin, Frances's main course also has a family connection. All week, her menu has told the story of her father's wartime experiences.
Wouldn't it be funny if your grandfather was stoking my father's boat and they enjoyed a pie?
Imagine.
Today, her duck dish is inspired by her father's post-D-Day meal in Normandy. She's making pressed duck using breast and thigh meat, liver and Madeira-infused shallots. And she's brought some of her father's war documents along for inspiration.
The one is a personal message from General Montgomery to the army at the time.
To us is given the honour of striking a blow for freedom,
Yes.
which will live in history. In the better days that lie ahead, men will speak with pride of our doings. We have a great and righteous cause. It's wonderful.
Well, it's what we are doing now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
So I'm determined to do the memory of my father proud.
To create her menu, Frances travelled to Arromanches in Normandy to retrace her father's footsteps. A former engineer, he was involved in the design and construction of the Mulberry Docks, temporary harbours developed to facilitate rapid offloading of cargo onto the beaches during the Allied invasion. As a captain in the war, Frances's dad wasn't just involved in the logistics of the landings.
My father fought in Normandy on D-Day. There was an enormous battle here on the beaches, and he lost his colonel and many of the men attached to the Second Army.
Taking command, Frances's father and his troops pushed inland and sought sanctuary at a monastery a few miles from the coast. Following a similar route, Frances travelled to Saint-Martin-de-Mende Monastery to meet Friar Joel.
Hello.
During the war, the monastery doubled as a hospital for injured troops from both the Allied and German forces.
I want to show you pictures from of this period.
Amazing.
You know, yes. You see here is in the refectory, the place where you have the same pictures, and the bed where the soldiers, wounded soldiers, are lying.
A safe haven for soldiers during the heavy fighting which followed D-Day, it's possible this monastery is where Frances's father and his troops sheltered, eating the duck meal she's reimagining for the competition.
Out of courtesy, he said to the abbot, "May my men camp here in your grounds?" And he was surprised when the abbot said, "Only if you have some whiskey."
Right, it's possible.
Yes. And in return, the abbot said, "You must dine with me tonight." And there was an aristocrat count who lived nearby.
The village near here.
Oh, you see?
One, yes.
This is amazing. And he called to him, and they came, and they had a splendid meal. And my father ate this meal. The atmosphere and the candlelight, and it was the most wonderful experience.
Inspired by her surroundings, Frances was keen to recreate the dish that was so fondly remembered by her father.
It feels very emotional to be walking in my father's footsteps. When I walked outside and saw the big gates and the long drive, you can imagine him marching his soldiers up there.
Oh, merci. Oh, very fine, you know, very tasty, but very smooth.
That makes me happy. Thank you. When I wrote the culinary journey around my father, I relied obviously on my imagination, and I've been thrilled to have the privilege of looking around an area where my father could have been.
Oak runs through all of Frances's menu in honour of her father's oak-shaped wartime medal, so she's smoking cream over oak chips to add to potato puree. And she's not wasting any of her duck, with an innovative use for the fat.
Okay, tell me about your candles.
Very, very simple. Just drained off the duck carcass.
Okay.
That's all, nothing else.
I was worried that duck fat is not as solid as something like beef dripping.
No,
and how you're going to get it to set into a candle. But looking forward
It's
to
just
seeing
something to use the fat with, really, and demonstrate my story, which is they ate in flickering candlelight.
Good, good.
She's got a great idea with this candle, so it could be amazing if she pulls it off. If she doesn't, it could just be, you know, fat in a bowl.
Paul's also using smoke in his dish to represent the atmosphere of the Blitz, smoking bone marrow that he will later breadcrumb and deep fry.
Talk me through this.
Yes, I'm just giving me a second smoke now on the bone marrow.
Second smoke?
Yep, so I'm going to do it 4 times.
What chip are you using?
Applewood. A bit more subtle, a bit more... I don't want it to overpower the dish.
If he oversmokes it, then it just tastes harsh. And he's currently on the second of 4 smokes, so he might go a touch too far with the smoke.
Also taking a risk is Colin. All week he's received high marks for technical dishes and visual presentation. Today he's stripping it all away and serving a simple pie with baby vegetables and polenta.
Colin, quite a brave move, you know, pie for a banquet.
Well, you know, you've got to be brave in these situations. It is a wartime.
Do you think that's going to keep you in the lead?
Well, I hope so. I'm feeling the pressure now. You know, this has got to be the best pie that Phil's ever eaten to get good scores. Just fingers crossed it turns out the way it's meant to be.
Colin's first to plate up, and with no props to organise, he simply has to put the finishing touches to his dish. Caramelising the fillet of beef in butter and thyme.
Very nice, Chef.
Yeah.
Are they rising to the occasion?
I hope so.
First on the plate is polenta, followed by sliced fillet steak. He cuts a slice out of the pithivier to show off the layers inside. Garnishes with baby turnips and onions, adds braised ox cheek reduction, and the final touch is a red cabbage gel.
There we go, Grandad's posh pie. It's all in the eating on this one. There's no props whatsoever.
Fantastic. Come, let's go and taste it. Let's head straight for the pie.
The outside's nice and crispy, but obviously the inside and the base there is a little bit
Thick.
a little bit thick and kind of a bit soggy.
Yeah, I think there's room for improvement. Probably trim it a bit leaner on the pastry.
Again, Italian ingredient. We had linguine in the second course, polenta in this course. Controversial.
And the polenta, you could have just put a dollop of mash.
I like a little bit of texture in there.
This is the red cabbage puree.
I was a bit disappointed in that. It's just some dots.
What purpose it has on that dish, I'm not too sure.
The red cabbage looks quite small. Actually, it's got
a bit of power. If you put too much on, it would dominate some components there.
Given what Phil has been preaching to us about the grandeur of this banquet, I don't think that is grand enough.
It is very restauranty.
Colin, is this dish going to keep you up front?
I've got a 3-point lead, so it'd have to be a very poor show if I was overtaken.
Let's give it a number then.
I'd like to go for a 7.
Is this the chink in the armour?
There's definitely a chance now. Here he is.
Hi, Colin. How did you do?
He likes simple food. He likes well-cooked food, so in that respect, I hope I get a good score.
Trailing in last place, Frances is next to plate up her dish, Seeking Sanctuary, based on the wartime meal eaten by her father at a Normandy monastery. She starts by layering pressed duck and sliced duck breast. A duck ball of shredded leg meat and gooseberries wrapped in chard goes on the side.
Is there any special tricks on this one, Frances?
Well, why don't you wait and see?
Oh.
Next, it's patty pan, yellow squash, and smoked potato puree. She garnishes with blueberries and bilberries, bitter cress, and a sprig of lavender. Finally, she drizzles duck sauce over the dish and serves with her resourceful duck fat candle.
Another letter and a medal.
Sanctuary, yes. That's my father's medal for fighting in the war.
Dearest Sue, landing on the beach, we faced extreme battle. My superior was killed. I took command of the unit. We secured the beachhead and entered Normandy. We came across a monastery. I asked the abbot if my men might rest and set up camp. What a magnificent feast we had. Pressed duck, lavender, blueberry and wild leaf. We ate off lovely plates in flickering candlelight. We have the candle. We have the ingredients. Let's go and eat.
Thank you.
Candle is the rendered duck fat.
Okay.
I don't think she wants us to eat it, does she?
Seasoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Because I thought you might taste it.
Let's just try a bit of the duck breast. You cooked it firstly in a water bath.
Yes, I cooked it on a low temperature. It definitely softens the texture of it.
Duck's beautiful. Duck's loving tender.
Very well cooked.
Yeah.
So this is primarily the leg.
Yes.
Okay, what am I getting? I'm getting honey
Yeah.
and the gooseberries.
Yes.
It's a flavour that's quite strange. What is it?
Honey.
Honey. A bit overpowering.
And so this here is the offal.
It's the livers and heart and the bit of thigh to bind it all together.
That's quite a nice little touch. It gives that livery, rich flavour to flake duck meat.
And you're happy with the degree of smoking in the potato?
I think if I'd made it any stronger, it would have fought with my duck press.
Does it smoke? Something oaky?
Give it a mark.
I'm going to give it 10.
State your dreams.
It's a very well executed piece of cooking.
It's certainly her strongest dish of the week.
Yeah.
So far.
I feel I've redeemed my reputation somewhat.
Last to plate up and 3 points behind leader Colin is Paul, who's aiming to tell a story with his Blitz-inspired blackout beef. At the last minute, he heavily caramelizes his ribeye using icing sugar and leaves to rest, while he plates vegetables alongside his braised rib cap. Paul's been keeping his presentation a closely guarded secret, but Francis has spotted something.
Where did you find this then? Did you sort of pinch it off a wall or something?
From an old shop in Yorkshire.
It's lovely. That's really clever.
Next on is the deep-fried bone marrow, carrot puree, his caramelized ribeye, and thinly sliced ox heart. Then a final surprise ingredient, smoke underneath a glass cloche to evoke the sight and smell of the Blitz. Having dimmed the lights, he serves the dish with blackout beer and a lantern.
I can see the black on the beef. I can see we've got the blackout created. Come, let's go and taste it. There we have your smoked bone marrow.
When you smell it, you get that smell, the flavour, taste.
That's nice.
Yes.
Little smoke.
Has that delivered the end result that you were looking for?
Yeah, for me, you got that nice caramel on the outside. It's got a little bit of bite there, which is what I was looking for.
It's brilliant beef.
Nice and sticky and moist and sumptuous.
And the heart is there. What's the purpose behind the heart?
For me, it gives a nice earthy taste to it. At the same time, it's like the heart of Britain on the plate. It needs to be there.
It's a really nice plate of food. It's cooked wonderfully. Produce are fantastic.
I'm not a drinker, so I can't partake in your blackout beer, but it certainly goes to the dish.
It's got that sort of flavour there that I think works perfectly, and it just lends itself to that caramelised on the outside of the beef.
Flavour in the beer, it's lovely.
It is actually, isn't it?
Wonderful dish.
This is the banquet main course, is it?
This was the first dish I came up with when I heard the brief. This is the one that, I could really see, taking it to St Paul's Cathedral would be absolutely fantastic.
The lights dimmed and coming out with the lantern, serving a wonderful plate of food with a sip of beer.
Give it a score.
I'll have to say 9.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a very strong 9.
What does he lose a point on then?
I don't know. I think we've all put fantastic main courses up today.
Who's going to win?
We'll see what happens on the scores, but I think today will be close.
Hello, chefs. Colin, I'm going to start with you, with Grandad's posh pie with beef and polenta. The beef fillet was cooked well. It was delicious. The red cabbage puree, it was an unusual thing, but I really liked it. I just thought it gave a little slap to the dish that it needed to. I have to say, though, I think the pie, it just wasn't quite as good as I was kind of hoping it to be. Actually, I think what you should have done is a big pitivia, perhaps a sharing thing, a magnificent thing that had more presence. Francis, for your seeking sanctuary of pressed duck with lavender and blueberries, the story goes on. It's quite touching. The way you presented it with your props, you could just see that going to the banquet. And I also just liked the way that you used the whole bird. Wartime, use everything. In terms of the cooking, I thought the little balls in chard were just a little bit rough and ready. The cream potato and the little patty pans, they just need a little bit more attention to detail. Having said that, the duck breast was spot on. I thought the pressed liver was immaculately seasoned, bundles of flavour. Without a doubt, best cooking from you so far this week. Paul, for your blackout beef of rib, carrot and bone marrow. First two courses were a little bit underwhelming in terms of brief and delivery and flair. What we really needed from you, from the main course, was a banquet-worthy dish. Technically, I thought every aspect was spot on. But the braised rib, the barrel of meat from the ribeye, both immaculately executed, thoroughly delicious. Heart, simple, tasty. But actually, what I liked most about the heart was its kind of its relevance, the pride of Britain, heart of Britain. I thought that was just fantastic. The bone marrow was perfectly cooked, and the theatrics was a dish that was nailed, absolutely nailed. So on to the scores. Colin, for your Grandad's posh pie, I'm going to give you 7 out of 10. Francis, for your seeking sanctuary, I'm giving you not quite what you had hoped you might get, but a 9. Paul, for your blackout beef, going to give you a score of 10. It's a stunning dish. So, everything to go for. Thank you.
Well
This
done.
is the man, well done.
Very, very good dish. Wow. It deserved.
With one course remaining, Collins lost his lead and been joined in first place by Paul, with Francis only 2 points behind.
I'm thrilled with the 9. I feel I'm back on track.
I feel disappointed that the lead I had has now gone. Just need to make sure I deliver on my dessert.
Nailing a 10, it's got me even more determined now that, I want to see that go to St Paul's Cathedral.
Tomorrow, it's the dessert course. And with 2 points separating the chefs, there's no room for error. They're all under pressure to deliver, as only 2 can go through to cook their menus again for the judges.